Hi guys, welcome to Heal With Me. Thanks for joining. My name is Keturah, and today we are going to look into a topic that is very challenging for most of us, especially those of us who are sensitive, who are people pleasers, who struggle with codependency, and are challenged by not putting others' feelings before our own. Okay? Today we are going to be looking at how to say no and mean it, okay? The N word is that big word that is super challenging and hard to get over and to say and to stick with it, right? It's easy to tell your kids, no, you can't have that candy. It's after, 10 o'clock at night, right? It's easy to tell the dog, no, go sit down. It's easy to tell your boss, oh no, unfortunately I'm not able to come into the party after work because I have something to do for my kids, school soccer, something like that, right? Those are things that are easy for us to do. But what about saying no to someone that you love? To someone who may have hurt you, who you feel attached to someone who may have put you through a very traumatic experience. How do you say no to them and stand on it? Today, we're going to dig in with 3 simple steps, and hopefully by the end of the video, you'll be able to learn how to practically stand on business. If this video is for you and you're interested in finding out how to say no easier or making it easier, simplifying the process for you, continue watching. Stay tuned. Let's dig into step number 1. Alrighty, so step number 1 on how to say no and mean it is to say it yourself and believe it for yourself. Oftentimes when we are trying to tell someone no who has offended us in the past, who we love very deeply or dearly, who may have caused a traumatic experience, it's very hard to say no to them because we are not used to. We could be uncomfortable saying no. Saying no could lead to feelings of guilt or shame or like severe condemnation even in some of us, especially when you struggle with codependency, people pleasing. Could be if you are empathic as well, if you're very sensitive to others' feelings and needs, then it makes it hard to say no. If you're naturally a nurturer, if you naturally have a spirit of service where you want to take care of others, you're like love loving people, that type of personality is a setup for having a hard time saying no. So watch it. So the first thing you want to do, number 1, is to believe it yourself. If you don't believe it yourself, guess what? Ain't nobody else gonna believe it. And I've learned this just from my own experiences that even telling yourself, I'm gonna say no, and I'm gonna stand on it, because I'd be acting like I'm a big dog, but then when it comes down to it, I'd be like, oh God, I have to say it, no, So if you can relate to that, then you'll understand this. You have to believe it. If you don't believe it yourself, there's no way that you're going to translate that to someone else and they actually pick up on it. I'm a firm believer that, they say you can read energy before you read anything else. I absolutely believe that. So people, including the enemy who is out to get you, kill, steal, and destroy you, but he can tell when you are faking the funk, when you're calling your own bluff, okay? So keep that in mind. You want to, number 1, say it and believe it yourself, not faking or like, oh, maybe. No, you need to believe it yourself. I have my little notes here. Another part of number 1 is you want to ask yourself, why are you really saying no? Sometimes we can go through that cycle of grief and we can be in the anger stage. And in the stage or the phase of anger, it's very easy to say no for malicious or vindictive reasons, right? If you're angry, you're full of rage, you're like, I'm going to just say no just because I'm going to make sure that they feel it. Well, that's not going to actually translate into an actual no. Most of the times you're going to go back on your no because you're doing it for the wrong reason. So you want to assess, your reasons for doing it. Are you trying to be, again, malicious, vindictive? Are you angry? Are you just trying to assert yourself? Are you trying to regain your power over your life? And you're like, I'm going to just make sure that they know that the answer is no, no matter what. It's no. You know, you have to assess that within yourself. So when you're saying it and you're believing it, you're inquiring and asking yourself these questions. This is all step number 1, guys. Are you saying it because you want to be seen or heard? Now, this is a big part of step number 1, because you're not going to fully believe it if you're doing it to be seen or heard. And the reason why is because you're not seeing or hearing yourself. Now, that's something that we'll dig into another video. We're going to dive deeper into that. How to be seen. How to be seen. That's big. It's big. And then the other part of step number 1 is it just a threat or is it the truth? And that's why you want to say it and believe it yourself, okay? You're going to assess whether or not this is a threat or if it's the actual truth. Sorry, I don't know what's going on. I'm like itching. My hair is itching, my eye, something. As soon as I sit down and start recording, the devil is just like all over me, just to try to get me to shut up, I bet, but it ain't gonna happen. Okay, anyhow, so that's it for number 1. Remember to say it and believe it. Address and assess your reasons for doing it. Is it to validate yourself, or are you really meaning it because it's necessary? Okay, next we're gonna look at number 2. So step number 2 is to understand why you feel the need to say it. Why do you need to tell this person no and actually mean it? Why is it significant or important to tell this specific person no and actually mean it? Remind yourself of the truth behind the situation that's leading you to tell this individual no, okay? Remind yourself with by removing those rose-colored or rose-tinted glasses. We tend to be so jaded and look at the positives of people, not to demean them. Or especially if you grow up in church, you're like, oh no, I don't want to judge, or I don't want to put somebody down. I want to give them grace because that's what God has given me. That can be misconstrued, and honestly, that can be mistranslated. It's not valid to think that God expects you to look at someone without seeing the truth behind who that person is, right? Even God himself did that. That's why he flipped the table and he said, you brood of vipers, right? He's like, I see right through you. He knew exactly who Judas was. He just chose to handle him in a different situation because he knew that he had a purpose. So you too have to accept or come to the understanding of that person's purpose in your life. Not everyone who comes in your life is meant to stay in your life forever. It's reminding me of that Tyler Perry saying, I think he's the one who said it, and he said that people are like seasons, right, on the trees. You know how the leaves fall off in the fall and how in the springtime they regain and some branches fall off. And also like the Holy Spirit is reminding me of pruning. So there are seasons of pruning where things need to be ripped away. They were just pruning the tree outside of my house the other day, and I was like, why are you taking away my tree? Because the birds come in the tree, and I watch them, and I'm like, who told you to do that? But there's a season for everything, and so people also are seasonal. They're not meant to stay in our lives for the eternity of our existence. And so there's a truth in grace, and there's also a reality in grace too that we can sometimes kind of overlook based on our upbringing and our teachings. So step number 2, we're still on step number 2, which is to understand why you feel the need to say no. Remind yourself of the truth behind the situation. Remove those rose-colored or rose-tinted glasses. And then lastly, see things clearly. Okay? So understanding why you feel the need to say no the whole goal of step 2 is to remove the haze, to remove the fog layer that prevents you from seeing the truth behind this. For example, the ocean is one of the most beautiful things on earth, right? What we don't know is what happens beyond what we can see. So say, for example, you go to Jamaica where you can see through the water, right? You're looking down in the water. You don't know what's beyond where you can see. The only way that you can actually see that is if you go deeper. So go deeper in regards to this individual, go deeper in regards to the situation and the circumstance that is leading you to feel like you need to say no to someone, and assess the depths of that versus just looking at the surface like, oh, everything looks so beautiful. If I say everything looks so beautiful, this ocean looks so beautiful, and I dive deep into the ocean in Hawaii, guess what? I might get bit by that shark that's down there that I didn't see, because he's not sitting on the surface. He's sitting underneath the surface. I can't see him. So it's my responsibility to use wisdom and assess what's on the layer that I can see, the surface layer, and to go deeper into why I need to say no to this person, okay? So that's number 2. Number 1 was say it and believe it yourself. Believe it yourself. Number 2 is understand why you feel the need to say it. Removing the lens, the glasses, the fog, and the haze, so that you can dig deep into the ocean to see the depths of the reason behind needing to say no to this person, okay? Next, we're going to get into step number 3. Alrighty, so step number 3, this is a big one, and this is where you have to kind of grab your kahunas and be ready for whatever comes. Step number 3 is when you've assessed the first 2 steps, which are saying it and believing it yourself. Believing it yourself, step number 1. Step number 2, understand why you feel the need to see it. Remember, removing the fog, removing the haze, seeing the situation clearly, the individual clearly for who they truly are, not who you want them to be, but who they truly are, who they've shown you with their actions, not even what they say, but what they show you with their actions. Once you've done that, step number 3 is to be honest with yourself. So step number 3 is when you've assessed your first 2 points and you've gained clarity and honesty regarding the situation, and you are absolutely ready, then you're going to act. But before you act, you're going to keep these 2 things in mind. There's always a cause and effect for everything, okay? There are also consequences for your actions. Now, consequences, we can take consequences and make that a negative term. It often seems to be negative. We relate it to being disciplined or chastised. And even discipline is not a negative word in my opinion. Neither are consequences, and I'll explain to you why. So the cause and effect and the consequences of your actions means that when you do something, something else is going to happen after that. The thing is that you can assume a lot about what's going to happen or what you think is going to happen by saying no to someone, especially someone that you love, and that's called catastrophizing. We typically tend to do that when we're afraid of the effects of whatever the cause is. So if you tell your teenager, hey, guess what? They say, Mom, I want to go to a party. And you're like, no. What do you think is going to happen? They're probably going to throw a tantrum. They're probably going to be like, oh, how come I can't go? All my friends are going. That's the effect, right? Well, you get that. You're like, well, it doesn't matter because I said no, it's not safe. You're probably okay with that. But what happens when you have to tell the person that you still love that you're not going to be with them anymore? That's a bigger cause and effect, right? Now you're going to catastrophize. Oh my God, my whole life's going to come to an end. They're going to hate me. Oh my gosh, like everybody's going to hate me. The family's going to be against me. Like, oh my God, everything. You could just think of all these things that are going to go wrong. But what I would encourage you to do in this step is to think about the positives that could come out of this, okay? So if you tell someone that, we'll use the example that I just put out there. You tell someone that you don't want to be with them anymore, right? And you're like, oh my God, everything's going to go south after I do that. Well, what about for you? What about how you feel afterwards? Yeah, maybe that person's going to be upset. Maybe the family will hate you. But what about you? What about how you feel? What about your happiness? Do you think you're going to be distraught and disappointed and just jacked up and beat up and knocked out on the ground? I mean, you could be temporarily, but then what? And that's where cause and effect needs to be assessed. There is a cause and effect of like, okay, I have to come to the acceptance that people are probably not going to agree with or like my decision. But the effects of that are that I'm doing what I feel is true and best for me. And that's what's most important, because all of those other people who are telling you to do whatever they want you to do, it's for their benefit, but they're not taking you into consideration. So while you're assessing and evaluating and gaining clarity, ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen in this situation? If I tell this person no, if I say no, what's the worst thing that could happen? And then ask yourself on top of that, if that worst thing that I think could happen happened, how would I feel? What would I do? And how would I handle it? And then I want you to remind yourself how you have overcome every other obstacle that's been thrown your way. Remind yourself that any stone, any barrier, any road hazard, anything that has been put in front of you, you've overcome it. And how do I know that? Because you're watching this video. If you weren't watching this video, there's no way that you would have overcome those obstacles, because you wouldn't be here. You would be down in a grave or somewhere else, right? Like lost your mind in a mental hospital, wherever. You could be anywhere else, but you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be looking for tools and resources on how to be better, a better version of yourself, or how to heal, or you would not be doing that. So that's how I know that you are strong, courageous, and that you will be victorious in anything that you put your mind to. So don't allow the catastrophic ideas and thoughts to devour you when you're making decisions that are best for you. Yes, other people will have opinions, but those other people do exactly what it is that they want to do in their lives, as should you. Okay, so I hope that this was beneficial to you. I'm going to go over the steps one more time. Step number 1 is to believe it yourself. You can say it, but the key is to make sure that you believe it for yourself. Don't do it out of maliciousness, out of rage, and out of anger. No, 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 no. Calm yourself down and wait until you're in the clear before you do that, okay? Step number 2 is to understand why you need to say no. Remove those rose-colored glasses. Dig deep within you and ask yourself, why am I feeling like I need to say no? Right? It could be something small and it could be something major, but assess within yourself what the reasons are and be real and honest about the other party and who they are versus who they show you they are. And number 3 is when you've assessed the first 2 points and you've gained clarity and honesty and you feel like you are truly ready, regardless of the cause and effect, the consequences that may happen or come about because of you speaking your truth and saying no, then you are going to remind yourself that you are capable and that you can do hard things. You do them every single day of your life, okay? You got this. I'm with you. Keep pushing. You're going to survive. Not only that, you're going to thrive. Alrighty, have a good night. Thanks for watching. Continue on this journey, healing with me. All right, bye.